Tomorrow's a big day for me. Sounds pretty ominous. But I suppose the response is going to be yours. It's not really talked about much. It's not really considered. Tomorrow's my death day. However, I'd like to make this this little recording as precise and as concise as possible. So normally I want to sort of present something on my death day, and I'll go into explaining what a death day is generally, before going into detail about what I'm actually planning to do. Suffice to say that I won't actually be wanting to record and do things. So I'd like to try and make this as practical as possible. Whatever happens, a very useful thing to do, which I do on a fairly regular basis, try to do it every day, is I visit the rainforest site, and in fact the hunger site too, because they've got a little system there, and it's like my opening page on my website, on my browser. So as soon as my browser loads up, I can click on this one button, and just by clicking on this one button, the advertisers for the site contribute, I think it's 1 cup of food. If you go there and you do that, and you can actually look at the daily results, it's also got the monthly results and the annual results, and there's something like 2,000 tons donated a year just by people going there and clicking on that button. Okay, another thing is I've been thinking about producing a little vid saying, why would anybody want to listen to me? And it happens to coincide, I think, with this idea of death day. Why would anybody want to listen to me? Well, I work for about 4 to 6 months a year, and I'd like to try and reduce that down to 3. I'm very happy about making sufficient money in that time to live for the whole year. The only downside of this, if there is a downside, is that I do not invest in a house. I do not have a mortgage. Which means that at some point in my life I'm going to reach an age where I will not have the security that, for example, all of my friends have. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm actually investing, I believe, in people now. I believe in a thing kind of like horizontal kind of trust, I suppose, which eventually will mean, hopefully, is that when you're old, you're relying on the people who are alive. Whereas currently, pensions, people are investing in their own futures. They're worried about themselves, and that's why they need the security. They want a future security for themselves. What I'm suggesting is that if we actually make it secure for everybody living now, then when you're older, then presumably you're still living in the same system and everybody's still thinking about everybody else. That is the now, even when you're old. Which means that there's no need to project into the future and have security in that way. Because I think all that's doing is making people money. Okay, it's to do with pensions, it's to do with mortgages, and there are people now making money out of it. And what I'm suggesting is, let's forget about that, okay? Let's forget about all this absurdity about the future and money, okay? Let's just live well now. And that means take care of each other, do a nice job for each other, and so on. And hopefully when you're old, you're not contributing that much, like in an obvious way. The point is that you're still alive, and perhaps you can contribute in some way which is kind of like pleasant, it's amusing or something, and you can amuse grandchildren or kids, or I don't know how, you can cook food. I don't know what use you might be, but perhaps there's some kind of respect or something. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I do. I also, the things that I promote, the things I devote my time to, like for example the whole notion of 2020 world peace, there's no money involved, there's no kind of organisation to pay. People just do it because they're contributing their time. It is time which is the valuable factor, not money. I'm kind of like a bit miffed when you sort of join an organisation or you think, oh right, okay, what is this? One, to reduce poverty in the world, or something about I don't know, I can't remember. There's so many little organisations, quite large organisations. Deepak Chopra doing his amazing thing, and it's fantastic. New humanity and things like that. But it's a little bit annoying to receive an email saying, we're doing this fantastic job. Can you give us some money? Can you donate? And it's like, no. What you want to do is you want to donate your time, effort, and energy. And I think that's the valuable thing. As soon as people understand that, I think we're onto a winner. I'm onto that. Why would anybody listen to me? For these reasons, I suppose. It's not because I'm particularly knowledgeable, or I want any money, or I. It's got nothing to do with me, actually. And I'd like to say this on the day before my death day. Okay, and before I go into personal details about what my death day will involve, what I'm proposing to do, what I'm planning to do, what is a death day? Some people might kind of like me wondering, what is a death day? Death day. Well, it's a friend of mine who came up with this idea, a bit older than me, and I kind of like, he almost said it flippantly, but I think he thought about it. I don't think he actually has a death day himself, I don't think. However, I've used the idea a couple of times now. I think this is my third death day. And, okay, it's kind of the opposite of what a birthday is. A birthday is when, obviously you're born, everybody celebrates the fact you're born. Before you even know what's going on, you've got your first birthday, everybody celebrates, you're like, wow. And everybody celebrates you, okay? So therefore, it's like a collective thing. There's a bunch of people around you, family and friends, and they celebrate your birth, okay? And it's their opportunity to celebrate your birth. Sadly, in our society, by the time you get into your late 20s, for some reason or other, you end up having to organise your own, right? It's a bit sad, but that seems to be the case. And there's a lot of people that won't allow other people to celebrate their birthdays, and that's kind of absurd too. Something to do with age. However, I believe if we really concentrate on birthdays, and that is, if I want to celebrate the fact you were born, let me. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with everybody else celebrating. And death day is opposite to that. Death day is acknowledging the fact, in the same way you're born, you will die. And this is much more of a personal thing. This is very much you coming to terms with the fact you're going to die. So, what do you do on your death day? If you know that you're going to die that day, what would you do? And the idea is that perhaps when you're in your 20s, you kind of like have a party and you celebrate other people and you thank them before you go off and die. Or perhaps you're annoyed by people and you want to tell them, and you can sort of like load off. Fair enough. But as year progresses and your death day comes around again, maybe in your 30s, 40s, 50s and so on, it'll change. And therefore your birth, in the same way you've got a history of birthdays, which were so kind of like exciting when you were a kid, I think your death day kind of gets better as you get older, become more aware, and you kind of value it more, because you're getting closer to it, presumably. So you can effectively, it's not other people celebrating, it's you. And you can celebrate it in any way you want to. It's you're in charge. Nobody's put you in that position. Nobody can take it away from you. So I've used it, I think, to try and ask something of my friends. I asked them to buy my book and to promote it without judging it. I asked this of them. It's the only thing I've asked of my friends and family, and it's the only thing I ever will. It had, whatever success. All I can do is do what I do. Now this death day, for me now, okay, now we're getting to my specific death day tomorrow.